Welcome back to League Update, your go-to mini podcast for the clearest breakdown of the week's biggest economic headlines. I'm your host, Mr. GAI, ready to unpack what's pushing markets and shaping the economy right now. This week, markets swung dramatically, giving us a peek at both resilience and mounting uncertainty. On August 4th, U.S. stocks bounced back sharply across the board. The Dow climbed over 585 points, the Nasdaq led with nearly a 2% gain, and the S&P 500 rose about 1.5%, helped along by strong earnings from companies like Tyson Foods. Even the Russell 2000, spotlighting smaller stocks, rose more than 2%. That rebound followed sharp losses driven by weak jobs data and fresh tariffs just a few days before. The market seemed to exhale, but the pause wouldn't last long. By midweek, the mood shifted. The Nasdaq pushed to record highs again, buoyed by a surge in chip stocks and Apple's strong rally. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 and Dow slipped slightly, wrestling with renewed worries about tariffs and the economy's overheating. At the same time, the broader economic picture remains fragile. While Q2 GDP beat expectations with 3% growth, much of that reflected companies importing less, a factor that can mask underlying weakness in consumer demand. Final sales to private purchasers rose just 1.2%, the slowest pace in years. Adding to the tension, Apple delivered its strongest week since mid-2020. Shares surged over 13%, sending its market valuation to a staggering $3.4 billion, a jump investors are calling historic. Meanwhile, mounting doubts over U.S. economic data's credibility weighed on confidence. Investor anxiety rose after firings at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the resignation of a top Fed official raised concern about political interference in jobs and inflation numbers. On interest rates, another notable voice has emerged. Fed Governor Michelle Bowman suggested that recent weak jobs data justify as many as 3 interest rate cuts in 2025. While the Fed has held rates steady so far, the growing chorus for rate reductions, set against sticky inflation and tariff pressures, is signaling a shifting outlook. Looking ahead, all eyes are on this week's inflation numbers. The Consumer Price Index for July may confirm whether inflation is staying elevated and potentially stir fears of stagflation, where prices rise while growth stalls. At the same time, a slow decline in mentions of recession in corporate earnings calls hints that businesses are holding off on worst-case predictions. For now. That's the League Update for this week. I'm Mr. GAI. Thank you for spending a few minutes to stay informed with me. If you found this helpful, like, subscribe, and share so you never miss a clear look at what's ahead.